What's up everybody, it's Jesse from Ion Aesthetics. Thanks for tuning back into the channel. Today I'm going to be reviewing my rinseless wash process using Absolute Rinseless Wash by P&S. This is a rinseless wash that I'm using a bit more frequently now as opposed to Optimum No Rinse, which I've used for a number of years, but whatever rinseless wash you decide to use, this process is going to work the same. Now if you're one of my customers and you just picked your vehicle up and I'm setting you up with a wash kit, this is the kit you'll be receiving, and these are the steps you should follow to wash your car just the same as I do. If you're a professional detailer or an enthusiast and you've heard about rinseless washing but you're not quite sure about it, this is going to be a really simple and straightforward video to give you some insight and some tips and tricks on exactly how the rinseless wash system works and how it can benefit you, whether it's saving you time or just making the process more enjoyable, which I personally found. Now I'll address a common misconception and then set you guys up on the tripod. I think some people are under the impression that rinseless washing is for a car that lives in a garage or it doesn't really get that dirty, and that is totally not the case. There are some limits to it, just like with any detailing product you can buy, but it's all about knowing what those limits are and how to use the system effectively to get the desired results. Now for the record, this car typically doesn't get that dirty. However, I did just take it upstate for the weekend. We went to Saratoga and Lake George and had a great time, but the weather definitely wasn't in our favor. And it's late October here, so there's a lot of leaves and dirt and stuff on the ground that's been getting kicked up into the wheel wells and all over the car and the windshield. So by no means is this like a trophy piece out here. This car is plenty dirty, has plenty of road grime and dirt that we need to deal with. And so I'm gonna dive into all that stuff, all right? Without further ado, it's time to get to work. All right, so first, when you're setting up for this, you're gonna have your rinseless wash, one of your IK sprayers, your ceramic boost, whether it's bead maker or whatever spray-on protection you're using, and a drying towel, plus a couple of microfiber towels. All right, these are soft and nice and plush and really safe for the paint. You should have a bucket as well. Any bucket will do. All right, go to Home Depot, get yourself one of the 5-gallon buckets, or this is one I've had from Adams for a really long time. All right, and fill that up with water. You don't need to fill it up all the way now. All right, I fill mine up halfway or about 3/4 of the way. That usually means there's 3 to 4 gallons of water in there, and we're going to dilute our rinseless wash. Now, this rinseless wash, as well as Optimum No Rinse and a bunch of others, follow a dilution ratio that's 1/2 ounce to 1 gallon. Measuring's really simple. These caps are about 1/2 ounce, and I've got about 3 gallons of water in there. So all you're gonna do is add 3 capfuls to your bucket of water, give it a swirl with your hand, make sure it's evenly mixed, and you're ready to go. You can drop your towels in that bucket, and you can also fill up your IK sprayer with the same exact solution. Just make sure to leave yourself a bit of headroom because we need to pump this up with air, and if it's totally filled up with the solution, you run out of room for pressure rather quickly. All right, so we've got water in the bucket with our rinseless wash. I've got an IK sprayer filled with the same solution, which we'll use as a pre-soak. And if you pump it up and hear that, that's the pressure release valve. That means you've got the max amount of pressure in there, and you're ready to go. Now our order of operations is always going to be dirtiest parts of the car first, so wheels, tires, and wheel wells. Then we move on to the paint. All right. Included in your kit, if you're one of my customers, you'll also get some wheel cleaner. All right, you probably got it in a ready-to-use bottle. I have it in bulk, and so I dilute it in my sprayer here. But the process is the same no matter what. We're going to rinse the wheel and tire first. We're going to apply our product, clean the wheel and tire, and then give it a rinse, and do that at each corner of the car. Now what I'm using here is Brake Buster, also by P&S. This is a non-acidic wheel and tire cleaner. And so it's one product that you can use in your wheel wells, on the tires themselves, and then for the wheel. All right. You don't have to give it too much time to dwell, but give it about 30 seconds or a minute Definitely be careful if you're doing a wheel that's facing the sun. You don't want this stuff to dry on the surface. And once it's had some time to begin breaking down some of the dirt and grime there, we're going to get in and start to agitate this stuff. So your wheel brushes are something that you'll accumulate over time, and you'll figure out what you like. You may or may not have some of the brushes in the kit. If you don't, shoot me a message and I'll make sure you get set up with one of these. But this one here is good for getting into the barrels and the fender welds. We're going to start there. Now the way I do wheels and tires is I actually don't fill this bucket up with water. I think it's kind of a waste. Once I clean something, I just take my gun and rinse it off and throw it back in the bucket. If the bucket's filled with water and I just dump a dirty brush back in there, when I pull that brush back out, it's going to have a bunch of dirt and debris on it. Doing it this way, I never take out a dirty brush. Next, I like to do the tires. So this small, stiff bristled brush is really good for agitating dirt out of the lettering and the grooves and making sure you have a clean tire that's prepped for dressing at the end. All right, it should be quick. It shouldn't take much pressure. You don't want to beat up your tires, but just enough to agitate any dirt that might be there. Give it a rinse. All right, finally, the main part of the wheel itself. All right, these mini wash mitts are great because they conform to your hand. If you have a favorite wheel brush, now's the time for that. You know, what I've accumulated in these kits is stuff that I've figured out is best for me over, 7 years of detailing professionally, plus, all of my time as an enthusiast before being a business owner. Some people prefer the brushes. What I like about this is, one, this mitt is safer than any bristle is going to be. It's a lot softer. And two, you can't always attack, every angle and every space of the wheel with a brush. Sometimes a brush and the ergonomics of it might limit your range of motion or make it less comfortable or more difficult. What I like about this is anywhere that I can stick my finger, I can get the wheel cleaned. And so now that I've cleaned the inner barrels, the fender wells in the tire, and the main face and spokes of the wheel itself, I'm going to give this a final rinse down and then repeat with each wheel around the car. Come back in a minute and we'll start the body wash. Now, if you enjoy detailing content like this, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell and you won't miss any of the upcoming videos when they appear on this channel. And if you learn anything from this, if you get any value from it, it means the world to me. If you leave a comment and hit the thumbs up button, a really simple way to help a small growing business like mine. So that's a good start so far. Wheels and tires are cleaned. And if you have anything else like really dirty door jambs, or if you have a chrome exhaust that has a lot of soot built up on it, in my case, I definitely needed to clean my exhaust. Also rubber floor mats, if you have rubber floor mats, right? All these things are good to knock out before you start washing the car. Your contact wash with the vehicle should be the last thing that you're doing before wrapping everything up, all right? So I've got all that stuff out of the way, cleaned wheels and tires, cleaned my front floor mats, cleaned my exhaust tips. Let's get into the main part of the wash now. And so regardless of what type of wash method you're going with, you always want to start by rinsing the car. This is going to get rid of any loose debris that can be easily removed from the surface, and that's going to minimize scratching and swirling once we actually start touching the paint. So I am going to give the entire vehicle a rinse from top to bottom, front to back, get rid of as much loose dirt and debris as possible, and then we'll be back to start the contact wash. And folks, now that you've got the vehicle rinsed, at least most of the loose dirt and debris is gone. Plus, if you have a ceramic coating on the vehicle, you'll notice how well the water beads and how quickly it is to release it. And in fact, your car is probably most of the way there already. It probably looks pretty good, but you certainly couldn't just rinse it and walk away. These water droplets, if left on the paint, they will cause spotting, and there's nothing that defends against that. And that's not something you want to deal with. So we got to give this thing a proper wash. You've got your bucket filled already. You've got your sprayer filled already. Just give that sprayer a really good pump until you've got some pressure built up. And we're going to wash this from the top down, starting with the cleanest sections, moving on to the dirtier sections at the bottom of the car. And then I'll show you how we dry this and finish it up with some protection. Now the wash process is very simple. After you've rinsed the vehicle and you've pumped up your sprayer, just give it good even coverage with your rinseless wash solution. Depending on the day and how hot it is, I might cover the whole car or I might not. If it's a really hot day, I'm not covering the whole car. I'm going to work in sections. On a day like today where it's, you know, give or take 60 degrees, I'll probably cover half the car. So what that pre-soak is starting to do is encapsulate any remaining dirt, separate it from the surface and hold it in that sort of bubble there, and it's gonna break it down into smaller and smaller pieces, emulsify it, right? So it's less likely to scratch as we wipe it off the vehicle. Now in your bucket, you should have 2, 3, maybe 4 of these towels. The more you do this, the more you figure it out. Or you may have gotten one of the black sponges. Whatever the case may be, you don't want to take it out totally dripping wet like that. You want to give it a gentle squeeze and just get it to the point of barely dripping. Now this is important. With the towel, it starts out like this, and if we fold it once and then fold it once more, I have a total of 8 wash surfaces within this towel. 1, 2, flip it open, you've got 3 and 4, and then if I invert the towel, now I've got 5, 6, 7, and 8. And so it's just good to keep track of how many sides you've gone through as you wash the car. But for a average size car like this, 2 towels should be enough. Now we start with the roof. Smooth, long strokes. Picking up that debris. You shouldn't really have to scrub. It should more so feel like you're applying what's on the towel to the surface. And this way you're just gently wiping it away. All right, I've used up my first side on the roof and the front windshield. I'm going to flip to my second side. I'll start these windows, come across, hit the pillar and the back window. I'll do the back windshield. I've used 2 sides. Now I'm going to flip it inside out, reveal sides 3 and 4. Starting with the trunk here and moving on to the rear quarter panel and going from the top of the vehicle towards the bottom. Now the reason I don't start down here and then work up is I would pick up the most amount of debris here and then scratch the paint with it. So top down is always going to minimize your risk of swirls and scratches. I'm on my 4th side of the towel with this door here. Don't forget your fender lips. And then I'm going to invert my towel, reveal my final 4 clean sides. Start the front driver's side door. Don't forget your mirrors. This right here is one of the reasons I prefer the towel method, is it's easier to get into door handles in tight areas. But the biggest reason of all that I prefer this method, which is known as the Gary Dean method, that's the guy that made this popular, is I don't have to go back to that bucket. All of the dirt and debris that I'm picking up stays in this towel and never re-enters that bucket. And in doing so, I'm always working clean. The surface I'm cleaning the car with is clean. The water in the bucket is clean. Anything I pull out of the bucket is clean. And that's the name of the game. If you can work clean, you'll keep your car in great condition and you'll minimize the risk of swirling and scratching your paint. And once you've finished that whole side there, just give your sprayer another good pump, cover the other half of the car, and repeat. So we're going to wash the entire car before we start drying or adding any protection. We're good to go. The whole vehicle is washed, top down, front to back. Let's go over how to dry this thing. So now for drying, it's not just dry the water off the car. You're touching this with a dry towel and you want to make sure you're adding some lubrication, and that's where your spray-on protection comes in. Now I have the Glass Parency Ceramic Boost. You might have this, you might have Bead Maker, whatever spray wax you prefer. But there's not much to dry when compared to like soap and water and those 2-bucket methods. And all you really want to do to dry this is give your towel a couple of sprays. And let's start on this windshield here. Give one spray to the windshield. And kind of like you were washing it, you don't want to like scrub with a ton of pressure as much as it should feel like you're applying the product to the surface. All right, you flip the towel over to its dry side and you'll be able to buff away those streaks. But it really is that simple. You know, we might come back at the end and touch things up, but it should be pretty quick. Now you want to start with the parts of the car that have the sun shining on it, so you don't let that stuff dry and leave water spots behind. And then you can move to the other parts of the car that are shaded. The more you do this, the more you'll figure out how large of a section you're comfortable working in. There's a little bit of a learning curve every time you pick up a new product, whether it's a soap or a detail spray or a microfiber product. And so I recommend starting small, right? Splitting the windshields up into 2 pieces, doing each one of your windows individually, and really making sure that you're thorough and you're not leaving streaks behind. You know, you're able to check the work you did in your wash, right? Did you actually clean the vehicle thoroughly? And the more you do this, the more you'll realize how the weather and the conditions affect everything differently. Now, right now is my favorite time to detail. It's late September, get into October and November. Doesn't really get warmer than about 70 degrees. And as long as the sun is up, it's really not any colder than about 45 to 50 degrees. And so you're not killing yourself. You're not sweating out half your body weight. And the products are very forgiving, meaning you don't have to worry too much about things drying on the surface and causing any problems for you. And just like with washing the car, how we had all those different sides of the towel and we were flipping to reveal new sides, you should do the same thing with your drying towel. Just on the off chance you do pick up some leftover dirt and debris, by changing the sides periodically, you don't have to worry so much about that dirt or debris causing some swirls and scratches. Swirls and scratches are the enemy. And this protection should be applied to anything that you washed. Your paint, your windows, all your glass, your wheels. I wouldn't use this on your tires. That's what tire shine's for. Common sense warning there. And what this will do is just fortify whatever protection you have on the car already. Give it a little bit extra fighting power against road grime and debris and anything else it might come in contact with. And if you notice, like I mentioned before, you don't have that water beading, you're starting to realize, hey, the protection's not there anymore, it's just not as good. This will at least buy you some time and keep something on there until you get around to a full detail where you're able to put on a fresh layer of a more durable type of protection. If you're using this by itself, and I don't want to get into a full product review, depending on how frequently you drive the car, you might get, 1 to 3 weeks out of this if it's standalone and you're using it as this sort of drying aid, install method. Beautiful. Now I think it's going to be a wrap on this one for now. All right, I wanted to keep the video pretty basic and just go over the main components of washing it. You've got your wheels and tires clean, you've got your paint cleaned, the vehicle's dried, it's got some protection on there, and for most people it's probably ready for the next adventure. Me personally, I have some water left on the wheels. If you don't have forced air, go ahead and take your towel and follow the same procedure drying your wheels as you did with drying the paint. I'm going to blow that dry and then address my tires, put some tire shine on there and add the protection to the wheels. It's not a bad idea to take the car for a quick spin if you want to just like quickly shed the water, do like a down and back on your street. Just know that when you come back you might have to touch up the paint if there's any like water that slung onto there as well. But make sure you get the wheels dried and protected one way or the other. We can cover that in like a whole nother video, or check out the Forester detailing series where I break down every step of the detail process in depth. I have a whole video dedicated to cleaning wheels and tires, and I'll actually probably link it in the end screen of this video. But that's it for now. As always, I thank you guys for taking the time to check in with the channel and watch this video. Hit the thumbs up button and leave a comment. Let me know what you thought. And if you enjoy content like this, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and you'll be notified every time I upload something new to the Island Aesthetics channel. But like I said, that's all for this one, folks. I'm Jesse from Island Aesthetics. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.
Do you feel the buzz, or is it just me? Trust me, something in the air just above me. Something like a dream state, you call it a clean break. Do you feel the buzz, baby? Do you feel the buzz?
Isn't just me, Do you feel it? I can feel it in the air. Isn't just me.